Yes, a very good evening to all of you. Right, so I hope all of you are able to hear me. कैसे हो आप सब लोग? Yes. तो yes, क्या डिस्कस किया जाए आज ऑडिट में? कैसे तैयारी? How is your preparations for the exams going on? राइट सो कोई अगर इंटर के स्टूडेंट फाइनल के स्टूडेंट ने भी अगर ज्वाइन कर लिया है तो कोई ऐसा ये नहीं है, क्योंकि हम लोग एंगेजमेंट लेटर एंड ऑडिट रिपोर्ट डिस्कस करने वाले हैं. सो इट इज गोइंग टू बी समथिंग कॉमन फॉर बोथ, फॉर द इंटर एज वेल एज द फाइनल स्टूडेंट्स ओवर हियर. Okay, right. Just if somebody could confirm schedule for CA final. Okay, you're asking me the schedule for CA final, right? So in CA final, we will be covering topics like one, the standards, and then the ethics caro clauses part of it, and then some special chapters over there. So that's the plan for CA final. Yes, my voice is loud and clear, so that's great. Great to see you all over here also. So let's make the best of this time, and rather than mentioning about anything else, let me directly hit on to the subject. Right. So today I have planned to discuss with you. We can look into a few correct and incorrect MCQ, but that can come in the later part of our discussion. Right now, we will first look into the engagement letter and the auditor's report. Okay, so it is not for English students. No, it is for English students, but I want actually, the rest of India also to understand. Okay, English, I speaking in English or Hindi is not important, because the paper, so we have to write it in English only. So anyways, now let's get on to the topic. Even though if I speak anything in Hindi here and there, I will translate it into English, but the content will be in English only. तो जो भी हिंदी का एक्सपेक्टेशन भी रख रहे हैं स्टूडेंट, तो आप भी सुन लीजिए मेरी बात, मैं क्या बोलना चाहती हूँ. और ऐसी गलतफहमी मत रखना कि ये आरती मैम को हिंदी नहीं आती है. मुझे आती है, पर यार पेपर तो तुमको इंग्लिश में लिखना है ना. You have to write the paper in English, right? Okay, right. So let's come to essay 210, which is regarding the agreeing the terms of the audit engagement, which talks about the engagement letter, which is to be issued by the auditor to the management, to the board of directors, to the those charged with governance of a company, right? So the shareholders, they appoint the auditor, they issue the appointment letter to the auditor, and then the auditor has to accept the appointment which has been done by the members of the company, and he has to put across his terms and conditions over there, right? So putting across the terms and conditions of the engagement, the auditor issues the engagement letter. In this engagement letter, the auditor mentions something called as the premise, the presumptions, the assumptions on which an audit is conducted. Like, auditor says only if you accept these conditions, only then I am coming for the audit, otherwise I am not coming for the audit, right? So that is called as the preconditions for an audit. You can call it as the premise, assumptions, presumptions. Okay, this is a question for CA final also, CA inter also. I am discussing the auditing standard right now, engagement letter and audit report, so which is going to be relevant for both CA final also and inter also, but mainly my focus today is on the inter knockout series. Okay, right. So what are the preconditions for an audit? So yes, preparation, presentation of financial statements is whose responsibility? It is the responsibility of the management, right? It is the responsibility of the management. But what AFRF, what applicable financial reporting framework is being used by the management for the preparation of the financial statements, is that acceptable to the auditor? That is the first precondition of the auditor. What is the first precondition? The acceptability of the FRF, the financial reporting framework, where the management is using the accounting standards, Ind accounting standards, the Ind AS plus Schedule 3 to the Companies Act. Yes, then that would be an acceptable AFRF to the auditor. If the AFRF is only not acceptable, then no further talking about doing the audit or, proceeding further with the engagement. So number one requirement is the acceptability of the AFRF, that whether the AFRF, which is being used by the management in the preparation of financial statements, whether that is acceptable to the auditor. Yes, and once the AFRF is acceptable, then after that, auditor says, management, you please understand that the following are your responsibilities, right? So what are the responsibilities of the management for the preparation of financial statements? So preparation of financial statements in accordance with the acceptable AFRF, whose responsibility? Management, your responsibility. So what was the first major precondition? The acceptability of the AFRF, right? The acceptability of the AFRF, the applicable financial reporting framework. What are we talking about? SA 210, in which we are discussing the preconditions for an audit. And once the AFRF is acceptable, then after that we say that preparation and presentation of financial statements in accordance with the AFRF, whose responsibility? It is the management's responsibility. It is the responsibility of the management. Then internal controls in the organization. Does anybody know the definition of internal control? You have a full chapter in inter-audit regarding, risk assessment and internal control. CA final also you have discussions regarding internal control, internal audit, management, operational audit, right? So do you know regarding the definition of internal control? If I just, randomly tell you the term internal control, do you know the definition of that? Right? It is the policies and procedures which have been designed, implemented, maintained by management, those charged with governance and other person within the organization to obtain reasonable assurance about the achievement of the entity objective. And what objectives the entity wants to achieve from the internal control? They want to achieve, one, the reliability of the financial reporting. Right, so one objective of internal control is what? The reliability of the financial reporting. Right, then after that, what does it say? The efficiency and effectiveness of the operations. Right, smooth conduct of the operation. So we have the efficiency and the effectiveness of the conduct of the operations. Then after that, the safeguarding of the assets. Right, there should be the safeguarding of the assets. And the last one is what? It should ensure compliance with the applicable laws and regulations. Right, so compliance with the laws and regulations, the applicable laws and regulations. Right, so one, we have definition of IFC, that is internal financial control. Right now I am talking to you about the definition of the internal control, that is only the IC. So why there should be internal control? In order to ensure the reliability of financial reporting, so that there is no fraudulent financial reporting, what we study in SA 240. Then there is smooth conduct of the operation, efficiency, effectiveness of the operation, no misappropriation of the asset. That means there is the safeguarding of the assets, and in order to ensure compliance with the applicable laws and regulations. Okay, that's so anyways, these internal control, whose responsibility? Management. Your responsibility is so obvious. Whose responsibility? It is the responsibility of the management. Auditor is like the king, right? So then auditor will say, I'm going to come for the audit, and when I come for the audit, you will give me all the information, right, which is required, which the management has in relation to the preparation of the financial statements, right? So all information in relation to the audit. Right. Then any additional information which could be asked by the auditor, requested by the auditor from the management or those charged with governance. And last but not the least, the unrestricted access to persons within the entity from whom the auditor considers it necessary to obtain the audit evidence. Right. So what are these? These are the preconditions for an audit. What are these? These are the preconditions for an audit. One precondition, the acceptability of the AFRF, and then you have these 5 other preconditions over there. Okay, right. Then after, so in my engagement letter, 100% I have to mention the preconditions for an audit, and then so that has to come under the principal contents of the engagement letter. Right, so what are the principal contents of the engagement letter? The objective and scope of the audit. Okay, what is the purpose of this audit? The responsibilities of the auditor. I hope all of you know the responsibilities of the auditor to obtain reasonable assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, thereby enabling the auditor to express an opinion whether financial statements have been prepared in accordance with the AFRF. Okay, right. Then the responsibilities of the management, the identification of the AFRF. So these 2 points are nothing but the preconditions for an audit. And last but not the least, in my engagement letter itself, we have to give the expected form and content of the report. We have to give the expected form and content of the report, right? So what are these? These are the principal contents of the audit engagement letter. These are the principal contents of the audit engagement letter. Okay. Now, in my engagement letter, have I written the preconditions? Okay, to provide the auditor with all information, to provide the auditor with additional information, unrestricted access and all of that. Okay, and now management is telling auditor, you come for the audit, we will give you all the information, but only inventory we will not be able to give you the information. Now this is again a super favorite area which all of you at inter and final should be knowing about, which is the term called as the limitation on scope. They are limiting the scope. What is my scope of the audit? To do the audit of the entire financial statements for 31st March 2026 or whichever is the financial year. And now what they are telling auditor, inventory, don't check. Auditor, property, plant, equipment, don't check. Auditor says, what is this? You're not allowing me to check. So there is a limitation on scope which has been imposed on the auditor. So one, you need to understand, okay, what is the reason? Okay, why are they imposing a limitation on scope? क्यों लगा रहे हैं limitation? क्यों नहीं allow कर रहे? Right? Is there any, change in the circumstances that there is a lockdown and because of that auditor, you cannot go and attend the inventory count or the inventory has been lost due to fire? What has happened? Right? The circumstances. Then whether there is any misunderstanding, right? So again, the misunderstanding in terms of the understanding of the terms of the engagement. Okay, they thought that, oh, auditor will come, he will prepare financial statements. But no, auditor doesn't come to prepare your financial statements. He comes to audit them. And also whether there is any misunderstanding or whether there is any restriction on scope, whether management has imposed any limitation. Just say SA 505, there is a favorite question. Auditor, not to send confirmation request to a group of debtor. Auditor, not to send confirmation request to a group of creditor. So then you say, why? Whatever it. So it's a restriction on scope. It's a limitation on scope which has been imposed by the management. Okay, right. So you understand the reasons. Okay, why management is imposing a limitation on scope. Once you understand the reason, what you can sensibly do, you can request the management to remove the limitation. Request management that management, whatever is the limitation on scope, please remove it if possible. Let us do the checking, whatever we can do. Right. If they say no, we will not remove the limitation, then the auditor, he's so peaceful and so calm. He says, okay, I will try to perform the alternative audit procedure. Like, if not by hook, by crook. So alternative audit procedures. All of you, listen to me, sit straight. Whatever I'm discussing with you, very, very important. Right? Are you all looking at the screen or am I on the screen and you elsewhere here and there roaming around? Thank God, at least you thought that, okay, there is something on YouTube today and you came on the YouTube channel for that. Yes, okay. Right. So alternative audit procedures. If you're there attending, then attend it seriously. Don't waste your time. Your time is very, very precious right now. That's what I want to tell you. Right. So alternative audit procedures. Why alternative audit procedures? Because auditor wants only one thing. He wants moksha. No. He doesn't want any, what you say, moksha or anything. He wants the sufficient, appropriate audit evidence. So request the management to remove the limitation. If not, you perform the alternative audit procedure. You inspect the documentation regarding the movement of goods. You check the inventory register. You check the goods inward register, goods outward register, right? So you check the contract, the documents which are shared with the subcontractor, right? So some is it the supplier or something. So some alternative procedures you perform. right? Some alternative audit procedures to obtain the evidence. But now what is happening, even by performing the alternative audit procedure, even after performing the alternative audit procedure, means what? Unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Unable. Disclaimer. Arre wait, no. Why you're becoming so hyper? Disclaimer. Okay. Unable to obtain the sufficient appropriate audit evidence. So now in that case, what you will do? One, you may either, if it is material but not pervasive, you will issue a qualified opinion saying that financial statements give a true and fair view except for the possible effect of, right, the matters described in the basis for qualified opinion paragraph. And in case if the matter is material and pervasive, then auditor you either you can issue a disclaimer of opinion कि we are not in a position and we do not express an opinion on the financial statements, or second, auditor, if you don't want to give a disclaimer or client is not okay with you issuing a disclaimer of opinion when you shared the draft report with them, what you can do, you may also decide to withdraw from the engagement. Right? Withdraw from the engagement is nothing but the resignation of the company auditor. And now, if it's a company audit that I am doing and I am deciding to withdraw from the engagement, that means it's the resignation of the company auditor. And if the auditor resigns, then what do we need to do? Company law, what is the legal requirement? Okay, within 30 days from the date of the resignation, within 30 days from the date of the resignation, the auditor needs to file the form ADT 3 with the company and with the ROC, that is the registrar of companies. And in case if it's a government company, in addition to company and ROC, you also need to file it with the C&AG, that is the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Right. What if the auditor does not file this ADT 3 within 30 days from the date of resignation? Right. What if he does not file it? You know that? Then tell me if you know it. Within 30 days from the date of resignation, the auditor did not file the form ADT 3 with company, ROC, or in case of a government company also with the C&AG. Then what? Fine. What is fine? Okay. Right. How much? Yes. 50,000 rupees or the remuneration of the auditor, whichever is less, and 500 rupees per day of continuing default subject to a maximum of 2 lakh rupees. Perfect. Right? If the auditor does not file the ADT 3. Okay. If auditor withdraws from the engagement, will there be any penalty even to if he has to, even though he has to file the form? Right? So that is the penalty. 50,000 or the remuneration of the auditor, whichever is less, and 500 rupees per day of default subject to a maximum of 2 lakh rupees. Okay, right? So that is regarding. So see how we start with, SA 210, where there is a, scope of audit, in that there is a limitation on scope. Then we try to understand कि क्या है reason why there is a limitation on scope. Then ultimately, if we say we are unable to obtain evidence, then we go to SA 705. What is 705? Modifications to the opinion in the independent audit report, in which we either decide to issue the qualified opinion or the disclaimer of opinion. Auditor, you can issue disclaimer or you may decide to withdraw from the engagement, and whatever you decide to do, you also need to communicate it to those charged with governance. And withdrawal is nothing but the resignation of the auditor. Okay, right? So that is one more question over there regarding the limitation on scope, right? That's the question regarding the acceptance of a change in the engagement, right? There is an acceptance of the change in the engagement, right? So now what does it say? The new terms of engagement. In order to avoid confusion, there is a revision in the terms of engagement. What does it say? The new report. What does it say? If there is a reasonable justification or there is no reasonable justification to accept the change in terms of engagement. If there is a reasonable justification, an auditor is going to issue a new report. In the new report, he should not make a reference to the original engagement or any procedures that were performed in the original engagement. Right? So when they make an MCQ in the exam, they make an MCQ on whether between these two there is a or there is an and. Right? So there is an or over there. There is not an and over there. Okay, right. So that's the question regarding the limitation on scope. Then another favorite question of ICAI is regarding the recurring audit. Right. So as such, what does the standard say? That in case of a recurring audit, auditor, no need for you to send a new engagement letter. But there are circumstances which warrant the auditor to send a new engagement letter in case of a recurring audit. So last year also I did audit. This year also I am doing the audit. As such, not required to send a new engagement letter. But then there are the circumstances which say, okay, auditor, old engagement letter will not do. You will have to send a new engagement letter. When will auditor have to send a new engagement letter? One, when there is a change in the management, right? There is a change in the management. So the original management to whom I issued engagement letter and now who is the management of the company, there is a change. Right? So change in the management, or there is a change in the ownership, right? New owners have come into the company, or there is a change in the nature or size of the entity business. So there is change in the nature, like earlier it was a textile company, now it has become a real estate company. So there is a change in the nature or size of the entity business, right? There is a change in the laws and regulations which are applicable to the entity. There is a change in the AFRF. Right? There is a change in the other reporting requirement. There is a change in the terms of engagement. Those of you who are listening to me very, very vigilantly and very carefully, did you notice one word which is constantly coming over there? कुछ सुना तुमने ऐसा जो फिर से आ रहा है वहां पे? Management, ownership, nature or size, legal regulatory requirement, financial reporting framework, other reporting requirement. What is it? Everywhere, what am I talking about? That whether there is any change, exactly, right? So whenever there is any change, you have to issue the new engagement letter. Exactly, perfect, right? Or where there is any misunderstanding with the client as to the objective and scope of the audit. Wherever there is any misunderstanding with the client as to the objective and scope of the audit, right? So those are the situations where in case of a recurring audit, you have to send a new engagement letter. Okay, and then we have one draft format of the engagement letter over there. Okay, right. So that's engagement letter, the first document which we issue in the audit, and the last document which we issue in the audit is the audit report. Right, the last document which we issue in the audit is the audit report. So in order to issue an audit report, we first need to form an opinion, and once we form an opinion, then we need to report on the financial statements. So forming an opinion and reporting on the financial statements. Right? For forming an opinion, what you need to check? Whether you have obtained the Yes, exactly. The reasonable assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatement and financial statements have been prepared in accordance with the AFRF. So in simple language, when I have to form an opinion, I need to check whether the overall objectives of the auditor in SA 200 have they been achieved or not. Have they been achieved or not? The overall objectives of the auditor. And once I say, yes, auditor, you've achieved your overall objective. You're a very good auditor. Then what to do? Unmodified opinion. Unmodified opinion, clean report. True and fair view. Prepared in accordance with the AFRF. No material misstatement. No material fraud and error. That is what? Unmodified opinion. Right? So 700 talks about an unmodified opinion. Am I right? Okay. And what if auditor needs to modify his opinion? Yes, modify. Then say 700 is only for unmodified. If you want to modify, you need to go to SA 705. What is 705? Modifications to the opinion in the independent auditor's report, right? The modifications to the opinion in the independent auditor's report. Okay, right. So first let us look into, okay, what are the basic elements of the audit report as per SA 700? Are you all with me? Right, let's have a quick revision of what are the basic elements. And sometimes I can add an emphasis of matter, other matter, key audit matter, that other information of 720. Those are additional points which may come in my audit report. But the basic elements in my audit report is what we discussed right now. So basic elements in the auditor's report. Are you with me? Is the notebook in front of you? Is the screen in front of you? Okay, right. So what should be the first element of the audit report? What can you think about it? Yes, any guess? You say, ma'am, no guess, we know it confidently that the first element of the audit report is the title, right? What is the title? It is the Independent Auditor's Report. What is the title to the audit report? Everybody, please tell it with me. It is the Independent Auditor's Report. Okay, right. Independent Auditor's Report. To whom? Right, so you need to have the addressee in your report, right? So you need to address your report generally to the members of the company. Sometimes you could also address it to the CNAG in case of a government company, or you can address it to the board of directors in case of the consolidated financial statements and so. But generally, our audit report is addressed to the members of the company. Okay, so title, addressee. Yes, what next? What next? Nothing next? Yes, what would be the next element of the audit report? Title, addressee, done, 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 done. What after that? Right, we have the opinion paragraph. So title, addressee, and auditor says, first listen to my opinion, then your responsibility, my responsibility, that will come later. But first, let me give you the opinion, right? So opinion. Now, in the opinion, you can't directly say true and fair, not true and fair. First, what you need to do, you need to give an introduction. So in the opinion, you first have an intro para. Right? In the intro para, we have the 5 points over there. What do we write? Do you remember? Can you visualize? Bring in front of your eyes any audit report? Yes, type independent auditor's report to the members of Reliance Industries Limited. Opinion. Then what does it say? We have audited the accompanying standalone financial statements of Reliance Industries Limited, which comprise the balance sheet. As at 31st March 2027, whichever be the year, the statement of profit and loss, the cash flow statement, right? Then the statement of changes in equity and the summary of the significant accounting policies and the other explanatory information, right? So basically, all of you, don't listen to me as if you are listening to something for the first time. Knockout. This is final, done and dusted. Are you understanding? We are just checking that whether you already know this. Okay, don't listen to me as if it's for the first time. Okay, right. So first one, the name of the entity. So Reliance Industries Limited. Then the fact that you are conducting an audit and you're not doing a review, you're doing the audit of the historical financial information. Right. Then after that, what does it say? The title of each financial statements, that is the balance sheet, statement of profit and loss, cash flow statement, SOCE, that is statement of changes in equity, right? Then after that, the summary of the significant accounting policies and the other explanatory information. So that is your notes to account, and more popularly known as the notes to account. And then after that, we have the date or period covered. So for the year ended 31st March 2027, whatever is the year for which you are doing the audit. Right, so opinion paragraph. Okay, right. So title, addressee, opinion. In the opinion, we start with the introduction. In the introduction, we start with we have audited. And we have audited. Okay, and then you express your opinion. What opinion do you express? That whether the financial statements give a true and fair view of the state of affairs, of the profit or loss, the cash flows, the changes in equity of the entity for the year ended on that date. Right, so title, addressee, opinion. Then after the opinion, which is the next para? Okay, right. So for CA final, we'll be discussing more different content. But if you are into CA final also, no worries. This lecture is relevant for you also. Okay, right. So title, addressee, opinion. After opinion, you express opinion. But then what is the correct, what is the basis for your opinion? So basis for opinion paragraph. Okay, on what basis are you saying true and fair? So you say that we have conducted our audit in accordance with the standards on auditing specified under section 143(10) of the Companies Act 2013. Right, so you see, we don't do the audit as we wish, that I came and then I thought this is how I should do audit and that's how I did. No. How we did our audit? In accordance with the standards on auditing specified under section 143 subsection 10. Then in the basis for opinion section in the audit report, you make a reference to that section of the audit report where the auditor's responsibility have been given. So here you don't write down the auditor's responsibility. Here in this paragraph of the audit report, you make a reference to that section of the audit report where the responsibilities of the auditor have been given. Right, so refer to the auditor's reference to the auditor's responsibility paragraph. Then auditor says that when I am doing the audit, I comply with the ethical requirements. Do you know the ethical requirements? And there are so many side questions now which come in between. We say internal control and then we discuss definition of internal control. So now when we have the ethical requirements, immediately mind says, okay, what is ethical requirement over there? Right? So ethical requirements, those being integrity, that is straightforward, honest and sincere. Then you have the objectivity, that is unbiased, no conflict of interest. Right, then after that you have the professional competence and the due care. Right, so competent in performing his duties and also does his work with the due diligence, right, due care. Okay, right, then after that confidentiality, to maintain the confidentiality of the client data, not to disclose the secrets of the client. Right, and then last one is what? The professional behavior, to avoid any behavior which might bring the discredit to the profession. Right, to avoid any behavior which would bring the discredit to the profession. Right, so ethical requirements including the independence. Does anybody know the two types of independence the auditor needs to maintain? Which two types of independence auditor you need to maintain? Independence, yes, in what? I know for myself that I am independent, but is it enough if I know it for myself that I am independent? No, even a reasonable and informed third party should be of the opinion that yes, this fellow, this auditor, he is independent. So that means we are talking about the code of ethics talks about independence in two ways. One, independence of the mind, and second, the independence of the appearance. Right? So you say it's my state of mind. I know I am independent, but only you knowing is not enough. The world should also be saying that yeah, this auditor is independent. You understand? No, right? So independence of mind and independence in the appearance. Both of the independence are required to be ensured by the auditor. Right? So independence of mind is the state of mind which ensures that the auditor maintains his integrity, objectivity and the professional skepticism. And independence of appearance, the avoidance of any such facts and circumstances, right, which may lead a third party to a conclusion that the auditor's integrity, objectivity or professional skepticism is getting compromised. Like, rotation of company auditor. Why did it come? Because it's the same auditor doing audit for 40 years. It doesn't look like he's independent. He's so familiar with the client. There are familiarity threat. You get it? Familiarity threat to the independence of the auditor. So in that case, you say, so what if it is 40 years old, I am still independent. But that is only independence of mind, and appearance it is not. And what does the code of ethics require? Not only the independence of the mind, but also the independence in the appearance. Okay, right. Then what is the next point? Basis for opinion paragraph. We do our audit as per the auditing standards. Then you make a reference to that section of the audit report where the responsibilities of the auditor have been given. Then you say that we comply with the ethical requirements, including the independence. And last one, auditor says we believe. What does the auditor believe? That the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our audit opinion. So sufficient, appropriate audit evidence. What am I discussing with all of you? The basic elements of the auditor's report. What was element number 1? Title. Element number 2, addressee. 3, opinion. 4, basis for opinion. Right, then after basis for opinion paragraph, you have 2 more over there. But these 2 will not always come. They may or may not come. See, title, addressee, opinion, basis for opinion, these contents will always come in your audit report. But the next two which I am mentioning, going concern, whenever there is a material uncertainty related to going concern as per SA 570, then this para will come. Whenever there is a material uncertainty related to the going concern. So if there is no material uncertainty regarding going concern, then this para will not come. Okay, right. Then after that, what is material uncertainty? Any events or conditions due to which you have a significant doubt about the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. You wonder now how this company will have a future. I don't see they have a foreseeable future or so. Right. So going concern, if any. So if there is any concern regarding the going concern of the concern, then that concern you have to write in your report. Concern. Did you understand? If there is any going concern regarding the concern, right, of the concern which you are auditing. Okay, anyways, don't worry, but don't get concerned. Right, so going concern. And then after that, not KMP, KMP is key managerial personnel, not that. Here it is KAM, key audit matter. Let me see how many of you know the definition. Now, every audit report, will there be key audit matter? No, there may or may not be. But whenever you issue qualified or adverse, there will always be a key audit matter. Disclaimer, there will never be a key audit matter. Because for the fact that you are issuing qualified or adverse opinion, that itself is a key audit matter. There might be other key audit matters or there might not be the other key audit matters. Okay, what is key audit matter? CAM, yes, key. So these two are visiting paragraphs. They may or may not come in the audit report, right? Going concern, key audit matter. What is key audit matter? Key audit matters are matters. Which matters? Key audit matters are, right? So this was regarding independence. Now I'm talking to you about the CAM, the key audit matters. Key audit matters are those matters that in the auditor's professional judgment. So auditor's thought process says auditor's professional judgment are of most significance. So this is the most significant term for SA 701. Most significance in the audit of the financial statements of the current period. Key audit matters are those matters that in the auditor's professional judgment were of most significance in the audit of the financial statements of the current period. And key audit matters are selected from the matters communicated to TCWG. Key audit matters are selected from the matters communicated to the TCWG. Okay, so key audit matter. Okay, because I'm discussing key audit matter, let me take up one more question over there, because this is again a very favorite question of ICAI. Okay, how do you determine that a particular matter is a key audit matter? It's not a normal matter. How do you determining key audit matters? How do you determine, boss, this is not like just any other matter. Okay, this is a key audit matter. How do you determine that? कि ये तो की ऑडिट मैटर है, ये कोई ऐसी साधारण सी बात नहीं है, ये बड़ी बात है. Don't mind my Hindi for some time, okay, because I want the Hindi speaking or Hindi, what you say, students who are comfortable with Hindi also to be connected with me in the class. Okay, right? Key audit matters. How do you say that this is a big matter? This is not a regular matter. Yes, when it's an area of the higher assessed RMM, correct, risk of material misstatement, higher assessed risk of material misstatement, or where there is a significant risk, and those RMM in the audit, risks of material misstatement that require the special audit consideration, right? So higher assessed RMM or significant risk. Right, then what does it say? Right, then after the higher assessed RMM, what is the other area? Significant auditor judgment has been involved in evaluating that particular matter. So say like a litigation going on against the company of 1,000 crore rupees, an auditor had to apply huge amount of judgment. An auditor had to apply the huge amount of judgment in checking whether this matter is it appropriately reflected, whether it is properly disclosed in the notes to account or so. Right? So significant auditor judgment has been involved, including evaluating the management judgment. Right. Then what does it say? Every audit that doesn't happen, but this year the company came up with an IPO. This year the company did the capitalization of some plant. So significant event or transaction that took place during the period, right? So amalgamation happened, merger happened, demerger happened, and so significant event or transaction that took place during the period. So if any of these three, then you say, boss, this is not a normal matter, this is a key audit matter. And this is a key audit matter. So one, what is the definition of key audit matters? Key audit matters are those matters that in the auditor's professional judgment are of most significance in the audit of the financial statements of the current period. And now, how do you determine that a particular matter is a key audit matter? Areas of higher assessed RMM or the significant risk. Then what do we say? Significant auditor judgment or the significant event or transaction that took place during the period. Anyways, let's go back to what we were discussing. We were discussing what? The basic elements of the audit report. In between, we just go left, right, again come back on the center track, again left, right, again come back on the center track. Right. So anyways, title, addressee, opinion, basis for opinion, going concern, key audit matters, if any. Okay. Right. Then after that, the next element of the audit report is the management's responsibility. Right, so preparation, presentation of financial statements, internal controls in the organization, management, your responsibility. Right, so we mentioned in the audit report regarding the management's responsibilities. Then after the management's responsibility, we mentioned about our auditor's responsibility. What is our auditor's responsibility? To obtain the reasonable assurance. What is the objective of the audit? What is the responsibility of the auditor? To obtain the reasonable assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, right? So reasonable assurance, right? Then after the reasonable assurance, you have the other reporting responsibilities. What are the other reporting responsibilities? CARO. Like 143 subsection 11, then 143 subsection 3, duty as to reporting. Whether auditor he has obtained information and explanation, whether proper books of account as required by law, whether branch audit report have they been forwarded to the company auditor, whether balance sheet, profit and loss account are they in agreement with the books of account, whether financial statements comply with the AS. Yes, the financial statements, the AS, then whether any observations or comments which have any adverse effect on the functioning of the company, whether any directors are disqualified under 164(2), any qualification, adverse remarks regarding maintenance of account, whether the company has adequate internal financial control, and then after that, the such other matters as may be prescribed. How many of you were able to visualize when I mentioned these 143 3 points? Or you were like, ma'am, if you write it like this, no, then we can make more sense out of it. If you write down 143.3, then you say A point is whether the auditor has obtained information and explanation. B, whether proper books of account as required by law have been kept by the company. C, yes, what does it say? Whether the branch audit report have they been forwarded to the company auditor. Right? Then whether the balance sheet and profit and loss account, are they in agreement with the books of account? Right. Then whether the financial statements comply with the accounting standards. Then any observations or comments which have an adverse effect on the functioning of the company, that is going concern effect. Whether any directors of the company are disqualified under section 164 subsection 2. Any qualification, adverse remarks regarding the maintenance of accounts. And then after that, whether the company has adequate internal financial controls and the operating effectiveness of such control. And then J, such other matters as may be prescribed. Does anybody have a guess of what is there under this such other matters as may be prescribed? You think other matter means balancing figure, nothing much would be over there, right? such other matters as may be prescribed. What do you think? You remember? Don't think anything. You have to remember what is there under 143(3)(j). You don't have an option of, oh ma'am, I think this is what should be over there. Yes? How many points are there under 143(3)(j)? You have the, yes, oh correct, yes, litigation, pending litigations, very good, right? So that's the A. Then you have B, C, D. In E, you have E1, E2 and E3. And then you have the F and the G. Oh my God, that seems to be quite an interesting reference. 143(3)(j), in that J, E, in that E, there is E1 of the Companies Act 2013. Anyways, what is the A over there? Pending litigations, right? Whether the company has disclosed the impact of the pending, made provision for the pending litigations. Then whether the company has made the disclosure for the material foreseeable losses. Right, so pending litigations, material foreseeable losses. Then whether there has been any delay in transferring amount to the investor education and the protection fund. Right, whether there have been any delays in transferring amount to the investor education and protection fund. So whether company has disclosed the impact of the pending litigation, whether company has provided for the material foreseeable losses, whether there have been any delays in transferring amount to the investor education and protection fund. Then D has been omitted and no longer there. Okay, then E, what is E? No funds have been advanced by the company, right? So no funds have been advanced other than those disclosed in the notes to account, right? To an intermediary with an understanding, whether recorded in writing or otherwise, that that intermediary will use it for loan, investment, guarantee, security of the ultimate beneficiary. So company is giving to intermediary and intermediary is using it for the ultimate beneficiary. So rather than company giving it directly to the ultimate beneficiary, they are routing it through the intermediary, right? So rather than eating like this, eating the funds of the company like this, right? So no funds have been advanced. Then what does it say? No funds have been received. So now the intermediary over here becomes the funding party and company has received the funds. Okay, so now funding party is giving the money to the company and out of that money, what is company doing? Loans, investments, guarantee, security on behalf of the ultimate beneficiaries. So you have not given any funds which are ultimately used for the ultimate beneficiaries, or you have not received any funds which you are ultimately using for the ultimate beneficiaries of the company. And then management has to give you a representation regarding this. There are no such funds which have been advanced and no such funds which have been received. And auditor, you have to perform audit procedures which you consider to be reasonable and appropriate and conclude that whatever representations the management has given you under 1 and 2 above does not contain any material misstatement. So the representation given under E1 and E2, you know, E1, this is E1 and this is E2, does not contain any material misstatement, right? Then 143(3)(j)(f), what is F over there? Whether the dividend has this paid or declared, whether it is in compliance with section. No ready-made, Ray. You tell me, dividend paid or declared? Very obvious. I know you know that. Dividend paid or declared, whether it is in compliance with section. No section. Some section has to be there, no? Section 123 of the Companies Act 2013. And the last one, whether the company's accounting software has an audit trail feature. Whether the company's accounting software has an audit trail feature which has been operated throughout the year, has not been tampered with and has been preserved as per the statutory requirements for the record retention. Right? Has been the company's accounting software, does it have an audit trail feature, and whether that audit trail feature, whether it has been operated throughout the year, it has not been tampered with and it has been preserved as per the statutory requirements for the record retention. Okay, right. So anyways, that is other reporting responsibility. Are you understanding that? Where were we? We were discussing this. Contents of the audit report and other reporting responsibilities. So you have management's responsibility, auditor's responsibility, other reporting responsibilities. And I just discussed with you the 10 points of 143.3. Right, I just discussed with you the 10 points of 143.3. And then after that you have the signature. right? Signature in the audit report, it has to come along with the membership number, right? The membership number of the chartered accountant, right? Then after that, the firm's registration number. Nowadays, you can also have an alliance registration number or a network registration number or a multidisciplinary partnership registration number. But basically, it is the firm's registration number. Then the UDIN, that is the unique document identification number. Right, so 3 numbers coming in the signature, right? The signature, which is having the membership number, the firm's registration number, and the unique document identification number. Then after that, you have the place. Right? The place is the place of the signature and not the place of the office, right? So you have the signature place, and then after that you have the date, right? So the date on which the auditor signs the audit report, which should be only after the financial statements have been approved by the management and only after the auditor has obtained the sufficient appropriate audit evidence, the auditor should sign the audit report. Like the auditor should sign the audit report, right? So what are these? These are the basic elements of the audit report. What are the basic elements? Title, addressee, opinion, basis for opinion, going concern, key audit matter, if any, management's responsibility, auditor's responsibility, other reporting responsibilities, 143.3. And then after that, you have the signature, place and date, right? Then after that, we have the signature, place and date. Okay, right. These are the contents of the audit report in case of an unmodified opinion. But sometimes the auditor may be also required to modify his opinion. Right? When would an auditor be required to modify his opinion? Right? There are only 2 reasons. One reason, the financial statements, there is a material misstatement. There is a material fraud. There is a material error in the financial statements. And inventory is overvalued by 100 crore, depreciation is underprovided by 100 crore. So there is a material fraud, whether or material error, whether intentional or unintentional. It is material, 100%. It is exceeding materiality. But now I need to check the pervasiveness. Okay, is it restricted to one item of the financial statement, or if it is related to one item, whether it is that significant that it is affecting the entire financial statement, or whether it's a matter relating to the disclosures. So once I check what is the misstatement, whether it's a material misstatement, then I need to check the pervasiveness, okay, whether it is material but not pervasive. Pervasive means overall. And overall, it's not confined to a particular item. It is pervasive. It is having an overall effect. You understand that? Or you say this is not having an overall effect. It is material, but it is not pervasive. Or you could say it is material and it is pervasive. It is not confined. It is not restricted to one particular item or one particular area. It is having a huge impact. It's pervasive. It's not confined. It's not restricted. It's having an overall impact. So material misstatement, material though it is, there is a material fraud or there is a material error. If it is material but it is not pervasive, in that case, auditor, you shall issue a qualified opinion saying that the financial statements of the company give a true and fair view except for the effect of the matters described in the basis for the qualified opinion paragraph. Because in my basis for modified opinion paragraph, what is the first thing I will write down? The matters which gave rise to the modification. Okay, right. Then material misstatement, so much of fraud, so much of error that it is material. And is it pervasive also? Yes, it is affecting the overall financial statements. It is not restricted to, it is not confined to one particular area. In that case, auditor, you will issue an adverse opinion saying that true and fair, opposite. They are not true and fair. First case, I just created an exception. Reservation, true and fair, except for. Leave this much, rest everything is okay. But adverse, nothing is okay. Not true and fair. And not true and fair because of the matters given in the basis for the adverse opinion paragraph. Okay, right. Second reason, what I discussed with you in the beginning also today, right? Limitation on scope. Management is telling auditor, don't check inventory, auditor, don't check debtor, auditor, don't check related party, auditor, don't check contingent liabilities, right? So what is management doing? They are imposing a limitation on scope. What happens due to a limitation on scope, everyone? The auditor is unable to obtain what? The sufficient appropriate audit evidence. What happens due to a limitation on scope? The auditor is unable to obtain what? Sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Okay, and again, for the unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, that is for the limitation on scope, you need to check the pervasiveness. Okay, whether it is confined or whether it is not confined. If it is confined, it is not confined. If it is confined, that it's only affecting a particular part or not a substantial part of the financial statement. That means it is material but not pervasive. In that case, again, auditor, what to do? You need to issue the, yes, qualified opinion, saying that financial statements give a true and fair view except for the possible effect of, right, the matters described in the basis for the qualified opinion paragraph. And last one, so much of evidence they did not give. Inventory, no. Debtor, no. Share capital, no. Sales, no. Purchase, no. Investments of the company, no. No data obtained at all. Unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Is it material? Yes. Is it pervasive? Yes. In that case, auditor, you will have to give a, disclaimer of opinion. Auditor, you will have to give a disclaimer of opinion. Did you notice something? Qualified is an opinion, adverse is an opinion, but disclaimer is not opinion. It is disclaimer of opinion. है ना? You say qualified opinion. Am I right? I say my opinion is qualified. I say my opinion is adverse. So I say qualified opinion. I say adverse opinion. But I don't say disclaimer opinion. I say disclaimer of opinion. Okay, I am not giving you any opinion. Don't ask me. And a disclaimer of opinion. We are not in a position and we do not express an opinion on the financial statements. Right? We do not express an opinion on the financial statements. Right? So disclaimer, auditor says tomorrow you invest your money in this company, anything goes wrong, you lose your money, I am not responsible. I am right now only putting my hands up, saying disclaimer of opinion. We are not in a position and we do not express an opinion. Why you are not expressing opinion? You are going to be paid for expressing opinion. You say, what to do, ma'am? Unable to obtain evidence. You give me evidence, I give you opinion. You don't give me evidence, from where do I give you opinion? Listening? No. Listening? Okay. Very good. Right. So that is SA 705. The modifications to the opinion in the independent auditor's report. Okay, what are the two reasons for the modification? One, there is material fraud error or there is a limitation on scope. The auditor is unable to obtain the evidence. For these two reasons, you need to check whether it is confined or whether it is not confined. So material but not pervasive or material and pervasive, and accordingly decide whether to issue the qualified opinion or to issue the adverse opinion or to issue the disclaimer of opinion. Right, qualified, adverse, or the disclaimer of the opinion. Is it clear to all of you? Right, now see over here, now we had discussed the contents of the audit report. Title, addressee, opinion, basis for opinion. You know, now when I have to modify my opinion, see if it's a clean report, no unmodified opinion, then opinion is just called opinion. So when you see only opinion written, that means it's an unmodified opinion. But if you see, if you have to modify your opinion, then what you will write down in the opinion paragraph heading? Modified opinion. Right? Modified opinion. So it could be the qualified opinion, adverse opinion, or the disclaimer of opinion. And second one, the basis for opinion paragraph will now become the basis for the modified opinion. So now it's not only my opinion, it is my modified opinion. Right, so it could be basis for the qualified opinion, basis for the adverse opinion, or the basis for the disclaimer of opinion. Right, the basis for the disclaimer of opinion. Are you able to follow this, everyone? Right. So one, when it's a clean report, and second, when you need to modify your opinion. So when you need to modify your opinion paragraph heading changes to either qualified, adverse, or disclaimer. Right. So qualified opinion, adverse opinion, or the disclaimer of opinion. And in case of the basis for opinion paragraph, right, the paragraph heading changes to the basis for the modified opinion. Right. So very important, essay 705. You require it at the end of every case study also, regarding when which type of modified opinion is to be issued by the auditor. Okay, right. So that is regarding a briefing regarding essay 705. And then after that, we also have the essay 706, right? So 706 is regarding what? It is regarding the emphasis of matter, right? Emphasis of matter paragraph and the other matter paragraph in the independent auditor's report, right? The emphasis of matter paragraph and the other matter paragraph in the independent auditor's report, right? So emphasis of matter, auditor wants to highlight, auditor wants to place importance. He wants to say that this matter is very, very fundamental to the user's understanding, and he can give a clear reference to the financial statements. Then auditor, you can put it in your audit report in the emphasis of matter paragraph. Say there is a litigation going on of the company, and for this litigation the management has made the disclosure in the notes to account, but auditor says this matter is fundamental to the user's understanding, and it's already given in the financial statements. So you can make a reference to where that information is given in financial statements. Then that he can mention in the audit report in the emphasis of matter paragraph. And other matter, it's not related to financial statements. No, if it's related to financial statements, emphasis of matter. It is not related to financial statements, but it is relevant to the user's understanding. Users of audit report, users of financial statements, they should know about this. That this report is only for a specific set of users. Or this financial statements which we have audited have been prepared by management as a special purpose framework. You understand? Or auditor wanted to resign, but he could not resign. So it's relevant to the user's understanding. Then that you can put it in your audit report in the other matter paragraph. Right. So how many matters? So many matters, ma'am. Don't worry about the matters. Till the time we don't finish our exam, matter after matter coming in life. Okay. So 701 also has a matter. What is the matter of 701? Key audit matter. Key audit matter. What is the keyword? Let me see. Key audit matter. What is the keyword? We already discussed, huh? Nothing new. Yes? Quick, 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 quick. No quick? Okay, slow. Okay. That's good. Key audit matter. Yes, matters which are of most significance in the audit of the financial statements of the current period. Okay, right? So that is the key audit matter, right? Matters which are of most significance. And these matters you select from the matters which you communicate to TCWG in accordance with SA 260, right? That is the communication with those charged with governance. Okay, right. So I just wanted to have a brief, revision with you regarding the engagement letter and the audit report. Okay, so that part of the discussion we've just done. Now what we'll do, because it's an inter-audit knockout series, so was thinking of a name, okay, what, like, I think even when a child is born, you think regarding what name should be given to the child. So then I was thinking, okay, I have to take YouTube revision series, and then what name to be given, like whether we should call it as an audit premier league or a booster or a marathon or a fast track or something. So I thought, now these students are just, so close to the exam date over there. So it's like whatever effort they put it into the last minute, either on this side of the world or that side of the world. So it's like knockout. Either you win the match or lose the match. So it's like the final overs which you're playing right now. Right? So accordingly. So any difficulties, any challenges which you are facing while studying your subject? I'll get back to I'll finish one phase of my discussion. I'll come to the next phase of the discussion. But before that, I would like to take this opportunity to have an interaction with the students regarding anything that they would like to, yes, very much relevant. Huh? See, relevant it should be, not anything which doesn't make sense. Okay. Right, which you would like to mention about or say something about? We'll be meeting every day. Every day means next 3 days. So today, tomorrow, and day after. Okay, that's how it's planned. Then after inter, we meet final also. Okay. Yes. How is your studies going on? Are you quite motivated for your preparations? Okay, able to grasp concepts, but difficult to remember. So cumulative revision, that's the solution to it. Important areas to concentrate in the last minute. So whatever we marked in the books as the important questions, the 5-star or the all-time favorite questions, those are the ones you need to go through last minute. And plus I would suggest that you go through the MTP, RTP, and the MTP, RTP, and also the suggested of maybe last 3 attempts, if now time doesn't permit you to go for 5 attempts or 10 attempts or so. So at least like 2 and or preferably 3. Those many you go through it. So that would be good. Presentation, be neat and tidy in your paper. Catch up speed from page 1 of the paper rather than writing very dramatically in the beginning and then towards the end making a mess over there in your paper. How to get exemption? So you should be seen nowhere in the world for till the date of your exams, till the date of your last paper. You should be invisible to the world. No one should be aware of your existence. So that's the trick, or that's the advice I can give you for getting an exemption. How do we wrap the entire syllabus in 1.5 days? So you need to prepare the tidbits of the subject, so that okay, this is the crux of what is the chapter. Don't end up reading it on one day before the exam. Right, so you just go through the crux of what you need to do. One, there are 3 ways. One, either you know the one correct answer, so you don't bother about what are the other 3. So that's trick 1. Okay, right, for the tricky MCQ, that's trick 1. Okay, right, then second one, you know the 3 wrong ones. So 3 are wrong, then whatever is one which is left, that has to be the correct one. And mostly we come under the third situation wherein it is 50-50. Wherein we drop out 2. We say B and C 100% not the option, but A and D. And the final finale is between A and D over there in the exam. Right? So you need to keep on eliminating the wrong options and then trying to reach to the appropriate answer over there. Right? So that could be the trick for the MCQs. Okay. Right? So all good. That's it. Misjudging the question. Yeah, that's the biggest problem. You have an ocean of knowledge with you, but in the exam, if you're not able to identify, okay, what are they asking about, or what I need to write where in the paper, if that you don't know, then all the knowledge, the ocean of knowledge which you have, futile, absolutely like waste. Because no use, you're not able to, don't know where to paste which answer. So then now this is the problem. You know the problem. I'm so happy that you've done your SWOT analysis. Now what is the solution for that? MTP, RTP suggested. Pick up the question and see whether it's clicking to you. What should be the answer? Then go and see whether you have thought of the correct answer. Not thought, then again establish the correct connection in your mind. Right, so if you look at a few number of questions only, then you will be able to establish the link ना. सब theory पढ़ के चले जाते हो, फिर पता नहीं वो theory का करना क्या होता है. You don't know what to do of the theory. Just happily reading theory. Arey what? How that theory will become a question in the exam that you should know? No. Am I right? Okay. Right. Unable to write exactly what I know. Questions are very difficult to identify. So I think I just talked about that. That whatever you study, if you see a particular topic also, if you're studying, you have to think, hey boss, how this could be, how could a question on this one be asked in the exam, right? So if you look into like any author book that you're using, all authors are absolutely amazing. All books are absolutely amazing. Institute study material is great. It's just that your preparations have to be great, right? So at the end of the chapter, you see this question and answer bank over there, and this is the inter-audit book, right? So I have given like innumerable number of the, not innumerable, 500 plus correct incorrect, putting all the chapters together. So you get a lot of practice of the correct incorrect over here also. And then okay, boss, agar preconditions, that was rather the first question which we studied today, right? So preconditions for an audit. What now? I could have just mentioned one question over there, but कुछ कारण है ना कि मैंने चारों question लगाए वहाँ पे, कि इसीलिए मतलब कि हाँ कि ऐसे इस तरीके से कि this is how the question could be asked in the exams, है ना? Okay, so that is what. Okay, I'm getting okay. Correct, incorrect. So correct, incorrect. So even though if it's a 2-mark question over there, you need to write like 6-7 lines over there. It depends on answer to answer. Some answers you just need to copy paste the answer. Generally, when it is the correct, when the answer to the correct incorrect is correct. Okay, but it's not like okay, it's just 2 marks, so how can I write 6-7 lines? नहीं, कभी-कभी ऐसी भी जरूरत होती है कि भले ही 2 marks के लिए पूछा जाए, but you have to write down 6-7 lines also. Okay, topics which can be left. I wish I could tell you that. I wish, but not possible. Okay. Not getting where to start every time, getting less than a particular marks. Okay, right. So then in that case, you need to start with company audit, you need to do CARO, then you need to pick up one item of the financial statement, then one chapter like bank audit, government audit, and then at the same time look into little bit of the standards. If you've not understood the sentence which I spoke right now, later on the recorded version will be available on YouTube. You can listen to me pause by pause and you can note down कि ये मैम ने क्या बोला है और जो मैंने बोला है वो follow करना है. You understand that? Okay. Right. So all good, everyone. I think I have taken enough number of questions. ऐसे तो तुम पूछते ही जाओगे. Okay. So we'll just stop with the questions over there. I'll take it later. Okay, I will get exemption and send you the mark. Oh my God, just look at the positivity in which you have been molded. Like you were just concerned about it and now you are having the positive outlook towards the preparation. I'm happy. Okay, that's a good job. Okay, right. So now anyways, this is the 7th edition of the book. This is for inter-audit, which I have opened over here. Something interesting which I would like to highlight in this particular book over here is that a lot of effort has been put to put some images over there, right? So like communicating key audit matters. So this fellow is like, holding a a loudspeaker in his hand and then making an announcement of all the key audit matters. So sometimes, pictorial memory, it works better. So you're just having then determining key audit matters. So if the risk is high, then you say, boss, this is a key audit matter. And then you have the basic elements. So not too many of them, but just as how much salt is there in a vegetable, that much of the images have also been introduced. Okay, so signature and then the place and then bias regarding the auditor's opinion, then the evaluations of the auditor, right? So just to add a little bit of liveliness to the book, these have been a few images which have been added over there, and then you have abundant of the correct and incorrect over there. So not a time for you to opt for any new book at this point of time, even though if you're following the study material, that would be great. Okay, right. So let me just come to the questions in the RTP May 23. right, for the inter audit, because this is the inter audit knockout series. So let us just have a quick look regarding the questions. So those of you who are having a problem identifying the question, probably we'll be able to address that over here. Okay, according to SA 315, the objective of the auditor is to identify and assess the risk of material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, only at the assertion level. क्या बात कर रहे हैं? And not only at the assertion level, but also at the financial statement level as well as at the assertion level. Okay, so this statement is incorrect. What does it say? Not only at the assertion level, but also at the financial statement level, right? So according to SA 315, the objective of the auditor is to identify and assess the RMM at the financial statement level as well as at the assertion level. How? Through understanding the entity and its environment, including the internal control. Okay, control environment can PDC. Can prevent, detect and correct a material misstatement. Control environment in itself cannot prevent, detect or correct a material misstatement. However, it can help in having the operating, what you say, the good control environment in the organization, the good honesty, ethical behavior. It can influence the effectiveness of the controls in the organization, right? So control environment in itself does not prevent, detect or correct. This good ethics of the management, that itself, does it stop from committing a fraud? No. Now there are lesser chances of fraud happening. Right? So does not in itself PDC, prevent or detect and correct. It may, however, influence the auditor's evaluation of the effect of the other control and thereby the auditor's assessment of the RMM, at risk of material misstatement. While auditing the books of account, the auditor of a company looked at the inventory counting process to obtain audit evidence. In the present case, audit procedure used by the auditor is known as inspection. No, that is not inspection. He looked, so that means he did observation. An inspection you do of any document or asset. Here what the auditor has done, the observation, taking a look at a process or a procedure being performed by others. Okay. Then when inventory under the custody and control of a third party is material to the financial statements, the auditor can obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding the existence and condition of that inventory by taking written representations from the management. So it says auditor, if inventory of the client is with the third party, you just take a written representation from the management that so much of our inventory is with the third party. No. As an auditor, SA 501, audit evidence specific consideration for the selected items, right? What auditor will do? He will obtain the confirmation from the third party, or he will perform the inspection or the other audit procedures, right? Or perform the inspection or the other audit procedures. Only taking written representation? No. Okay, assertions refer to the representations by the auditor to consider the different types of potential misstatement that may occur. No, that is not what is meant by the assertions, right? What do you mean by assertions? These are representations by the management, not by the auditor. These are representations by the management, whether explicit or embodied. So explicit means clearly stated. If this is, that the building has been mortgaged against so and so, or it is assumed if the value of the building is shown, this is the historical cost of the building. So it's the embodied in the financial statements as used by the auditor to consider the different types of potential misstatement that may occur. Right? So assertions refer to the representations by the management, right? Not by the auditor. Okay. Right, next one. As per SA 200, in the overall objectives in conducting an audit, the overall objective of the auditor is to obtain a, oh my God, calamity. Obtain absolute assurance. No. To obtain the reasonable assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. Okay. Once the overall audit has been established, an audit plan can be developed to address the various matters identified in the overall audit strategy. The establishment of the overall audit strategy and the detailed audit plan are closely interrelated. Right. So here, what does it say? once the overall audit strategy, so though they have not used the word strategy, here what they mean is once the overall audit strategy has been established, an audit plan can be developed, and they are not consequential and sequential process as they are closely interrelated. Right, as they are closely interrelated. And the last one, what does it say? Teaming and leading is one of the techniques of inflating the cash payments. No, it is one of the techniques of suppressing the cash receipts. The cash received from one customer shown as if received from the earlier customer, and so how far is received from the next customer, and so far, so how that's how the free funds of the company are used. Okay, right. Then after that we have the theory questions over there. Like professional integrity and independence are considered essential characteristics of all the profession. There are two interlinked perspectives of independence of the auditor. One, independence of mind, and two, independence in appearance. Explain. Right, so now they are talking about the independence of mind and the independence in the appearance. Right, so what are the two independence over there? Independence of mind, state of mind, that permits the provision of an opinion without being affected by the influences, allowing an individual to act with integrity, objectivity, and the professional skepticism. So independence of mind, it's the state of mind. And independence in appearance, the avoidance of facts and circumstances that are so significant that the third party could think that the integrity, objectivity, or the professional competence of the auditor has been compromised. Okay, so independence not only of the mind but also the independence in the appearance, right? Also the independence in the appearance, right? So it says integrity of mind and the appearance. And then after that, explain the guiding principles in the above context. So as an auditor, how does he ensure that he maintains his independence, right? So what does it say? For the public to have confidence in the quality of the audit, it is essential that auditor always be and appear to be. How beautifully they write. Be and appear to be independent of the entities that they are auditing. So not only be, but even a third party should think that yeah, this auditor is independent. So be and appear to be independent. Then what does it say? Only then he can comply with the requirement of integrity, objectivity, and professional skepticism, which require him to be independent. Without being independent, you can't say I am a person of integrity, I am having objectivity, I maintain professional skepticism. Not possible without independence. Right. Then auditor, you have to consciously, before taking any work, check whether there are any threats to the independence of the auditor. Then if threats have been identified, then auditor, you need to take steps to reduce or eliminate those threats. And what if you cannot? You say, ma'am, I'm not able to reduce the threat. Then what? Not to accept the work. Independence, non-compromisable, non-negotiable. And you cannot. Title of audit report kya hai? Independent auditor's report. How you'll write semi-independent auditor's report? No, Ray, you can't write half independent auditor's report or unindependent auditor's report. You say, ma'am, what you are putting in our mind, nothing like this was there in our mind. So that's what I'm telling you now. All this should not be there in your mind. Half independent audit report, semi-independent audit report. ऐसा थोड़ी कुछ होता है. It's only independent auditor's report. Right? So it's only the independent auditor's report. My God, you guys are rocking. Okay, next one. The actions of the engagement partner and appropriate messages to the other members of engagement team in taking responsibility for the overall quality on each audit engagement. Emphasize the importance to audit quality. Explain with reference to SA 220. Right, so in every audit, should there be the quality maintained in the conduct of the audit? Yes, and it is whose responsibility? It is the responsibility of the engagement partner. And what should the engagement partner ensure? Importance of audit quality. That one, you don't do your work as you wish. How you do your work? The auditor, the engagement team, the engagement partners, they do their work as per the professional standards. That is all the auditing accounting standards and the regulatory and legal requirements. Right? So work is done as per the professional standards and also as per the legal and regulatory requirements and not as you wish. Second, what does it say? Comply with the firm quality control policies and procedures. So next, ensure that the quality is, how you can say that there is quality when there is compliance with the firm quality control policies and procedures. Then what is the ultimate deliverable of the firm? The audit report to be issued. So what does it say? The reports issued, are they appropriate in these circumstances? So auditor, are you issuing the appropriate audit report? And if you come to know, okay, oh, this particular audit, they are not maintaining the quality, they are not doing the work properly, there is no proper policies and procedures being followed, the engagement team members, they should be able to raise the matter without the fear of, it bouncing back on them only. Okay, I brought to the attention that they are not doing audit properly and everybody started attacking me only. So it says no. The engagement team's ability to raise concerns without the fear of the reprisal. Without the fear that you only might become the victim or so. It says, don't worry, we'll safeguard you against the victimization. Right, so that is audit quality. That is there in SA 220, quality control for an audit of the financial statements. Okay. Next one, an audit is distinct from investigation. Okay, however, it is quite possible that sometimes investigation results from the prima facie findings of the auditor. Discuss. So rather, this is there in one of the inherent limitation of an audit, wherein we say audit is not an official investigation into the alleged wrongdoing, but sometimes based on the findings of the audit, it may lead to an investigation. And based on the prima facie findings in the audit, the auditor is, the management may decide or the shareholders may decide that an investigation is required to be conducted. Right? So audit is distinct. What is audit? Audit is an independent examination of financial information. Whereas what is investigation? It is a critical examination for a special purpose. It's a critical examination for a special purpose. If fraud is suspected, then what does it say? It takes the character of an investigation. Right? In an audit, you don't suspect. Right? In an audit, you're not suspicious. In an audit, you're only cautious. Right? If you be suspicious, then it becomes an investigation. If it is cautious, then it's an audit. Professional skepticism. Right? The objective of the audit is to obtain the reasonable assurance. Therefore, audit is never started with the preconceived notion about the state of affairs, about the wrongdoing. An audit is not an official investigation into alleged wrongdoing. When I go for the audit only, I don't have a thought, oh, everybody is a fraud, everything is a fraud in the company. No, it is not started with such a preconceived notion. However, it is quite possible that sometimes investigation results from the prima facie findings of the auditor, that while doing audit you found out there is something wrong in the valuation of inventory, and because of that you decided to do the investigation. So based on the prima facie findings of the auditor, right? So what does it say? Auditor has given some findings of the serious concerns, and such findings may call for an investigation. Okay. Right, so that covers one more question. Then SA 300 states that auditor should plan his work to enable him to conduct an effective audit in an efficient, timely manner. What are the matters which should be covered in the plan of the auditor? So I have to do the audit of an entity, and now when I have to do the audit, I have to prepare an audit plan. Now, in order to prepare an audit plan, what matters should be considered by the auditor? Number one matter, you have to obtain the knowledge of the entity. And a KOC, acquiring knowledge of the client's accounting system, policies, and the internal control procedures. Only then you can accordingly develop your audit plan. What does it say? The audit plan should enable him to conduct an effective audit in an efficient and timely manner. And when you're preparing your plan, what matters you should cover? Right? So one matter you should cover is acquire knowledge of the client's accounting internal control system. Then you understood their internal control system, then how much reliance are you going to place on their internal control? Because if you're going to place reliance, you may do less substantive. If you're not going to place reliance, then you need to do more substantive procedures, right? More detailed checking. Then determining and programming the nature, timing, and extent of the audit procedures to be performed. So deciding upon the NTE, nature, timing, and extent of the audit procedures. Right? So how much of the risk assessment procedures and the further audit procedures. And last one, coordinating the work to be performed, right? Coordinating, right? So different areas in the audit, different branches of the entity, so different parts of the financial statement, 70, 80 members in your engagement team. So all that work of all of them, you have to coordinate it. Like right now also, are you coordinating your 8 subjects together? You're coordinating 12 hours in a day, 24 hours. Out of that 17 hours you're studying, and then you're coordinating through 3 hours this subject, 2 hours that subject. So are you coordinating? Are you planning and doing your studies? I know you're doing that. Okay, right. So coordinating the work to be performed, right? So that is regarding the audit plan should cover the following. And one more we will do over here from the right, 4B over there. Adequate planning benefits the audit of financial statements in several ways. Explain. So in simple language, what are they asking over here? The advantages of the audit planning. Right, in simple language, what are they asking over here is the advantages of the audit planning. Okay, what is the benefit of preparing an audit plan? Right, what is the benefit, right? So it's not that you just go for the audit and you start checking some area. Anyways, every day we have to check something, so might as well check anything. But every day anyways you have to check. So today inventory, tomorrow debtor, then share capital, then investment, loans, related party. No, what does it say? You know which area, how much time, how much importance is to be given. So appropriate attention is devoted to important areas of the audit. Many of you would have realized, okay, audit I always thought less important area in my CA inter study, so less time to be given. Then you realize, boss, that's not the situation. Lot of ample amount of time to be given to audit. Is it right? So appropriate attention is devoted to important areas of audit. Then potential problems are promptly identified and resolved. You know, oh, if I have to give the report by this date, with so many people, not possible. I require more people in my team. Right, I require the more people in my engagement team, right? So potential problems are promptly identified. Work is conducted in an efficient and effective manner. Right, so work is conducted in an efficient and effective manner. So again, the smooth conduct of the work. Everybody knows what work they are required to perform. Then when you prepare a plan, you know which work, which area to give to which people. Okay, you check what I think you would be good at checking provision. You check provision. What you do, you check PP, property, plant, equipment. What you do, you check all the related party disclosures, right? So selection of the engagement team members with appropriate capabilities and competence to respond to the anticipated risk, right? So selection of team members. Then once you select your team members, then also deciding upon the direction, supervision and the review. Okay, who will give the direction that is planned, who will do the supervision that is planned, and who is going to review the work. And the work of a less experienced team member needs to be reviewed by a more experienced team member. So again, that is planned. Okay, who is going to do the direction, who is going to do the supervision, and who is going to do the review. And then last one, coordinating the work done by the other auditors and the experts, auditor of the components. So say company has 500 branches, and these 500 branches are being audited by the 500 branch auditors. So now you have to coordinate. No, you will have to, what do you say, coordinate your audit work with them, or say there is some work which is being done by the expert. So then you will also have to coordinate with the expert. What are these? These are the advantages of the audit planning. What are these? These are the advantages of the audit planning. Okay, and before we go to the MCQ part, just one, so that we finish this chapter 2 part of the discussion over here. It says in just question number 5, and then we go to MCQs. In establishing the overall audit strategy, the auditor shall identify the characteristics of the engagement that define its scope. Explain with example. Right, so when you establish your audit strategy, you have to consider the reporting objectives, then the characteristics of the engagement that define its scope. Then you need to consider those areas which are significant in directing the engagement team efforts, results of preliminary engagement activities, and the nature, timing, and extent of the resources. If what I am telling you is not reaching to your mind, that means you need to go to the heading in your book for the establishment of the overall audit strategy. In the establishment of the overall audit strategy, there are 5 points. Characteristics of the engagement that define its scope, then the reporting objectives, then professional judgment, which areas are significant in directing the engagement team efforts, results of preliminary engagement activities, and the nature, timing, and extent of the resources. In that, they are asking specifically what are the auditor has to identify the characteristics that will define the scope of the engagement. So what would decide the scope of the engagement? So it says the expected audit coverage, like the number and location of the components to be audited. Then it depends upon the business segments to be audited and how much evidence are you going to use from the previous audits. Right? So that will help you to decide the scope of the audit, right? That will help you to decide the scope of the audit. Okay. And now what we do, right? We should have a holistic discussion now. So little, we discussed engagement letter and the auditor's report. Then after that, we discussed a little bit of a few questions from the RTP over there. Now what we'll do, little bit simple ones. We'll look into the questions from the integrated case scenario booklet of the ICAI. We'll just quickly go through the MCQs over there. So in one of the days, we look into correct and all also. So in case if you're writing the answers in the answer box, write down as one, for one, the option is A, for two, the option is B, or whatever it is. Okay, just don't write down A, B, C, D. So many A, B, C, D will be there. Can't identify which A is for whom. So you just need to be more accurate, correct. If in case you're typing, if you're just doing it on your own, then that's not an issue. Okay, right. So dash, along with other disciplines such as accounting and law, equips you with all the knowledge that is required to enter into auditing as a profession. Now, obviously, we have a question in CA, enter in the introduction to auditing, relationship of auditing with other disciplines. Right? So auditing along with the other disciplines such as accounting and law. Right? So we have a question regarding auditing and accounting, auditing and law, auditing and economics, auditing and statistics and mathematics, then auditing and production, auditing and data processing, auditing and financial management. Right? So relationship of auditing with different disciplines. Okay, right. So amazing. Some of you follow my instructions. No, that's amazing. Right. You've written 1A. No business or institution can effectively carry on its activities without the help of proper audit, records and accounts. Neither A nor B, both A and B. Yes, no business or institution can effectively carry on its activities without the help of proper audit, though may or may not get done. But what does it say? Records and accounts are compulsory. Now, you have two types of audit. One, audits which are required under the law, and second, voluntary audit, like sole proprietorship, partnership firm, and the HUF, where there's no legal requirement for getting an audit done. But do they have to maintain records and accounts? Yeah, without that, you cannot effectively carry on the activities. Right? So that it is records and accounts. Okay, right. As per SA 200, overall objectives in conducting an audit, the overall objectives of the auditor are read to obtain reasonable assurance, to report on financial statements, both A and B, to obtain absolute assurance. Absolute assurance, no. Don't say absolute assurance, please. You'll break my heart. What do you say then? To obtain reasonable assurance, to report on the financial statements. Correct. Both A and B. Amazing. Dash. IESBA, the International Ethical Standard Board, which relates to an audit of financial statements, establishes which of the following as the fundamental principle of professional ethics relevant to the auditor when conducting an audit of financial statements. We've discussed ethical requirement. Now, ethical requirement, fundamental principle, one and the same thing. Professional judgment, professional skepticism, professional intelligence. What is this? And professional competence and due care. Yes, 4 is what? 4A, 4B, 4C, 4D. Which combination? Which one? 4D. Very good. What is the fundamental principle? The professional competence and the due care. Amazing. Good. The auditor's dash safeguards the auditor's ability to form an audit opinion without being affected by any influences. The auditors, only if you are what? Only then you can form an opinion without being affected by any influences. The auditors, yes, the auditor independence, correct, right? Safeguards the auditor's ability to form an opinion without being affected by any influences. That is your objectivity, right? That's your objectivity. So you can be objective only when you are independent. That's what they say. Which of the following is the responsibility of the auditor? Which of the following is the responsibility of the auditor? Preparation and presentation of financial statements in accordance with applicable financial reporting, design, implementation, and maintenance of internal control, express an opinion on financial statements to obtain limited assurance. Right? 6. What is the answer for 6? Which of the following is the responsibility of the auditor? It is the responsibility of the auditor to express an opinion on the financial statements. Correct. Right. An employee of Fruits and Vegetable Limited, what the name, Fruits and Vegetable, was of the opinion that auditor of the company is required to express an opinion. On which one of the following the auditor of the company is required to express an opinion? On the balance sheet of the company, financial statements of the company, only profit and loss account of the company, or only cash flow statement of the company? Obviously, auditor, you have to express an opinion on the financial statements of the company. Correct. That was an easy one, but easy things also contribute a lot in getting good marks in the exam. Okay. The auditor of Delicious Sweets Limited, first Fruits and Vegetable, now Delicious Sweets, what are they saying? Okay, was of the opinion that objective of audit of financial statements of a company is to obtain reasonable assurance that financial statements of that company are free from misstatement. Which type of misstatements are mentioned by the auditor of Delicious Sweets Limited? Simple misstatement, material misstatement, easy misstatement, or competent misstatement? Which misstatements are free from? You know that. Am I right? Are free from? Yes, are free from the material misstatement, right? Are free from the material misstatement. Okay. Next one. If the auditor concludes that there is a reasonable justification to change the engagement, and if the audit work performed complies with the essays applicable to the changed engagement, the report issued would be appropriate for the revised terms of engagement. Right? So if there is a change in terms, and there is a reasonable justification, then you issue the report based on the revised terms. In order to avoid confusion, I just discussed this with you in the beginning of the class, the report would not include reference to the original engagement or any procedures that may have been performed in the original engagement, any procedures that may have been performed in the original engagement, or the original engagement and any procedures that may be performed. So I told you, the question is in between the 2 points, whether there is an and or whether there is an or. So the report should not include reference to the original engagement or any procedures that may be performed in the original engagement. Correct. Next one. If the auditor is unable to agree to a change in the terms of engagement and is not permitted by the management to continue the engagement, so he is unable to agree to the change, he is not permitted to continue also, the auditor shall withdraw from the engagement, determine whether there is any obligation, either contractual or otherwise, withdraw from the engagement and determine whether there is any obligation, or withdraw from the engagement or determine whether there is any obligation. I hope you are able to observe the fine readings over there. Right? So A and B, or A or B. That's how we can interpret the question as. Right? So withdraw from the audit engagement where possible and determine, what does it say? Whether there is any obligation, contractual or otherwise. Okay. Next one. A request from the client for the auditor to change the engagement, right, may result from a change in circumstances, a misunderstanding as to the nature of an audit, a restriction on the scope of the engagement. So why is the client telling you to change the terms of the engagement? So we said limitation on scope could be imposed by the management due to change in circumstances, or there is any misunderstanding as to the nature of the audit, or there is a restriction on the scope of the engagement, right? So what is the correct option over here? 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3 is there in C, right? So all 3 over there. Okay, right. SQC 1 provides that unless otherwise specified by law regulation, audit documentation is the property of the management. Audit documentation is the property of those charged with governance. Audit documentation is the property of management or those charged with governance. Audit documentation is the property of the auditor. SQC 1, Standard on Quality Control 1, provides that audit documentation is the property of the auditor. He may at his discretion. I hope you know that amazing sentence over there. The auditor may at his discretion make portions of or extracts from his working papers available to the client unless portions from or extracts from his working paper available to the client. What does it say? Unless what you say, it will undermine the quality of the, undermine the validity of the work performed, or in case of an assurance engagement, the independence of the auditor or of his personnel. Right, so engagement documentation, audit documentation, it is the property of the auditor. The auditor may at his discretion make portions of or extracts from his working papers available to the client without undermining the validity of the work performed, or in case of an assurance engagement, the independence of the auditor or of his personnel. Okay, right. Oh my God, such easy ones. As explained in SA 200, dash is obtained when the auditor has obtained sufficient appropriate audit evidence to reduce audit risk to an acceptably low level. Absolute, limited, reasonable, or absolute. Obviously, it is the reasonable assurance that reasonable assurance that auditor has obtained the sufficient appropriate audit evidence to reduce audit risk to an acceptably low level. Okay. Next one, dash sets the scope, timing, and direction of the audit that guides the development of the more detailed plan. So what sets the scope, timing, and direction of the audit that guides in the development? I think you should not be even required to see the options over here. Before seeing the options only, you should be knowing what is the answer. So dash sets the scope, timing, and direction of the audit that guides the development of the more detailed audit plan. Yes, wonderful. The audit strategy, right? The overall audit strategy sets the scope, timing, and direction of the audit that guides in the development of the more detailed audit plan. Okay. Next one. Planning is the dash process of an audit that often begins shortly after the completion of the previous audit. So the moment you finish your earlier audit, you start thinking about the next audit, and you keep on thinking about the next audit till the time you don't finish with that audit, right? And continues until the completion of the current audit engagement, right? So planning is a dash process of an audit that often begins, right? Is it a discrete phase of an audit, or is it a continual and iterative process? Right, what is it? Is it a continual or discrete, or neither continual nor discrete and strategic process? Right, planning is a continuous process of the audit, right? Continual and iterative process which begins shortly after the completion of the previous engagement and continues right up to the completion of the current audit engagement. Okay. Read the two statements and then you need to say statement 1 is correct, 2 is correct, both are correct, both are incorrect. Establishment of overall audit strategy and the detailed audit plan are not necessarily discrete or sequential process, but are closely interrelated. We just said that. Okay. The auditor shall establish an overall audit strategy that guides the development of the audit plan. Yeah, you establish an audit strategy and then you develop an audit plan, right? So both statements, are they correct? Yes, both statement 1 and 2 are correct. Okay. Right. Next one, which of the following is not addressed by audit strategy? Scope of the audit, timing of the audit, direction of the audit, monitoring of the audit. Which of the following is not addressed? Which is not addressed? The monitoring of the audit, because what we say over there, scope, timing, and direction of the audit. So monitoring of the audit is not discussed and addressed in the overall audit strategy. Okay. Overall audit strategy and the audit plan remain the, obviously, audit strategy, audit plan, it is the responsibility of the auditor, right? It is the responsibility of the auditor, right? So remain the auditor's responsibility. Okay. Next one, determining a percentage. For determination of materiality in planning and performing an audit, you use a concept of benchmarking. And then to the chosen benchmark you apply a percentage, and then whatever is the resulting amount, that is materiality. So we say percentage into benchmark is equal to materiality. So what percentage you need to decide, what benchmark you need to decide, but once you decide these two and multiply, you get the materiality. So yes, determining a percentage to be applied to a chosen benchmark involves the exercise of the professional judgment, involves the exercise of independence, professional judgment, professional skepticism, professional behavior. No, it involves the exercise of the professional judgment. Okay. Which of the following is not an example of a benchmark in determining materiality for the financial statements as a whole? Okay, which of them is not a benchmark? So can I take PBT as a benchmark? Yes. Can I take revenue as a benchmark? Yes. Can I take equity as a benchmark? Yes. Can I take audit program as a benchmark? How to take audit program as a benchmark? Not possible. So audit program, no. And that cannot be taken as a benchmark. Then which of the following is correct? The auditor shall establish an audit plan. अरे no. We establish audit strategy ना, तो आगे पढ़ के फायदा ही नहीं है ना. Then auditor shall establish an overall audit strategy that sets the scope, timing and direction of the audit, and there is no need to guide the development. No, there is a need to guide the development of the audit plan. The auditor shall establish an audit strategy that sets the scope, timing and direction of the audit and that guides the development of the audit plan. Seems good, but let's see the last one. The auditor shall establish an audit plan. No. We establish audit strategy. Sorry. So the auditor shall establish an audit strategy that sets the scope, timing and direction of the audit that guides the development of the audit plan. Okay. Right. Planning an audit involves, what does it involve? Establishing the audit strategy and developing the audit plan. Establishing the audit plan? No. You establish strategy. Establishing the audit plan? No. Developing audit strategy? No. You establish strategy and you develop the plan. Right? So establishing the overall audit strategy and developing an audit plan. Okay. When planning the audit, the auditor considers what would make the financial information materially misstated. The auditor need not consider what would make them materially misstated. The auditor need not consider what would make them materially misstated at planning stage. And the auditor needs to consider what would make the financial information materially misstated while conducting the audit only, not while planning the audit. No. When planning the audit, the auditor considers what would make the financial statements materially misstated. So in simple language, that is your, whether there is any risk of material misstatement. Okay, right? RMM. Okay. SA 320, materiality in planning and performing an audit, requires that an auditor, what does it require? Should not consider, should consider, maybe. Should not consider, no. Should consider, but need not consider. Should consider materiality and its relationship with audit risk while conducting the audit. So you need to really say, no, materiality and audit risk, they are inversely related, right? So materiality and its relationship with audit risk while conducting the audit. Okay, right. Which of the following is true? Internal audit plan should be comprehensive enough to ensure that it helps in achieving of the above overall objectives of an internal audit. Internal audit plan generally be consistent with the goals and objectives of internal audit function as listed out in the internal audit charter, as well as the goals and objectives. In case the entire internal audit or the particular engagement has been outsourced, the internal auditor should also ensure that the plan is consistent with the terms of the engagement. Right? So which of the following is true? Right, whatever they are mentioning over there, all of that is true, right? All of that is true, okay, regarding the internal audit plan. Then once the overall audit strategy has been established, dash can be developed. Now तो you are confident. इतना टाइम से मैं वही तो डिस्कस कर रही हूँ, नहीं? पर तुम सुन ही नहीं रहे हो मुझे पहले से. मैं वही तो बोल रही हूँ ना, establish audit strategy, develop audit plan, right? So what does it say? Dash can be developed. So what can be developed? Audit plan can be developed. You might be having a question कि मैम और कितने MCQ कराओगे, तो है ना 30 तक ही जाएंगे, टेंशन ना लो, है ना। हाउ मेनी MCQs? 30। फिर उसके बाद मैम 9:30 तक क्लास है, तो फिर क्या कराओगे? फिर मैं तुम्हें कारो के क्वेश्चंस पूछूंगी, तो टेंशन नॉट, आई विल बी आस्किंग यू. Okay, right. The auditor shall develop an audit plan that shall include a description of nature, timing, and extent of planned risk assessment procedures, nature, timing, and extent of planned further audit procedures at the assertion level, other planned audit procedures that are required to be carried out so that the engagement complies with the standards on auditing, all of the above. Right, so the auditor shall develop an audit plan that shall include a description of A, B, C. You can't make these noises in the exam. I'm telling you, nature, timing, and extent of the risk assessment procedures, further audit procedures, and the other audit procedures to comply with the standards on auditing. Okay. A response that indicates the difference between the information requested to be confirmed and the information provided by the confirming party is negative confirmation. A failure of the confirming party to respond or fully respond to a positive confirmation request or a confirmation request returned undelivered is an exception. 1 is correct, 2 is correct, 1 and 2 are incorrect, both 1 and 2 are correct. Yes? Don't go with my sound effect. You think on your own. A response that indicates a difference between information requested to be confirmed and information provided is an exception. That is not negative confirmation. Negative confirmation क्या होता है? Only if the confirming party disagrees, only then it has to provide. And a failure of the confirming party to respond, that is considered as non-response. That is considered as non-response, not as exception. Everything incorrect. Both 1 and 2 are incorrect. Okay. Next one. Vijay is the statutory auditor of XYZ. During the process of assembling the audit file, which is an administrative process, CA Vijay briefed his team as to what all changes can be made to the audit documentation at that stage, at the assembly stage of the audit. Which of the following changes cannot be made to the audit documentation during the final assembly process? Cannot be made. Means 3 of them can be made during the assembly process. Sorting, collating, referencing working papers, signing of completion checklists, deleting, discarding, superseded documentation, recalculation of depreciation. Which of the following changes cannot be made to the audit documentation during the final assembly process? Which cannot be made? Right, the recalculation of the depreciation. Why? Because you cannot perform any new procedure, you cannot reach any new conclusion when you are doing the assembly of the final audit file. It is only an administrative process. So can I do sorting, collating, cross-referencing of working paper? Yes. Can I sign off the completed checklist? Yes. Can I delete the superseded documentation? Yes. But can we recalculate depreciation? No, we cannot recalculate the depreciation. And then the next one. Which of the following is not correct? SA 230, audit documentation. SA 500, audit evidence. SA 505, what is it? External confirmations. What is written representation? That is SA 580 and SA 560 subsequent events. So which of the following is not correct? SA 505 written representations. Okay, right. So anyways, we've had a look at a few of the MCQs over there, and now last 5 minutes left with us. So probably let's try to have a look into a few clauses of Caro, and let me say have a test with all of you, and you need to tell me what is clause 9C of Caro 2020. 9C of para 3 of Caro 2020. Fastest finger first. Quickly tell me clause 9C. Waiting. Clause 9, what is it? You studied Caro, inter-level, they ask you the reporting requirements under clause 9 of Caro, clause 2 of Caro, directly full reporting clause asked in the exams. Yes? 9 is regarding the repayments. Yes, whether company has made any defaults, then whether company has been declared to be a willful defaulter. And then what is 9C? Whether term loans, whether term loans, have they been applied for the purpose for which they have been obtained, whether term loans have they been applied for the purpose for which they have been obtained. Okay, right, let me try a more complicated one. Not complicated one, if you've studied is nothing is going to be complicated for you. Right, clause 14B of Caro 2020, again para 3 of Caro 2020. I'm asking the unconventional ones. You know, clause 1 is property, plant, equipment, intangible asset. That I also know that you know. But let me see, clause 14B. What is clause 14? Caro? Yes, clause 14. I'll drink some water. You think of the answer. Internal audit. That is clause 14. But my question is more specific. 14B क्या है? Non-cash transaction is so clause 15. So not right. Yes. 14B. Whether the reports of the internal auditor for the period covered under audit, have they been considered by the statutory auditors? And what is 14A? Whether the company has an internal audit system which is commensurate with the size and nature of its business. Right? So clause 14 is regarding internal audit. Clause 14 is regarding the internal audit, but 14A is regarding whether the company has an internal audit system which is commensurate with the size and nature of its business, and 14B is regarding whether the reports of the internal auditor for the period under audit, have they been considered by the statutory auditors, right? Have they been considered by the statutory auditors, right? What is clause 17 of Caro? Clause 17, let me see. Yes, clause 17 of para 3 of Caro 2020. Right, clause 17 of Caro 2020. Clause 17, whether, what whether? Yes, whether the company has incurred any cash losses in the financial year and in the immediately preceding financial year. Whether the company has incurred any cash losses in the financial year and in the immediately preceding financial year. Now I will ask you the other way around, which is the clause in Caro for cost records. Which is the clause in Caro regarding the cost records? Clause, which is the clause in Caro regarding the cost records? Clause, yes, 6 of the para 3 of the Caro 2020. It is regarding the cost records. It is regarding the cost records. Which is the clause in Caro regarding fraud? Which is the clause in Caro regarding fraud? Clause, last one for today, fraud. Which is the clause in Caro regarding the fraud? Yes, clause 11 of the para 3 of Caro 2020, right, which is regarding the fraud, whether any fraud on the company or whether any fraud by the company has been noticed or reported during the year. If yes, then the nature and amount involved is to be indicated, and then whether the fraud reporting has been done to the central government in ADT 4 and whether the auditor has considered the whistleblower complaints received by the company during the year. Right, so what we tried to have a discussion or a revision today was regarding one engagement letter audit report. Then after that we went to the the RTP May 23, what questions, few questions, like first 4-5 questions we saw over there, and the correct and incorrect. Then after that we did some 30 odd MCQs over there, and then after that we came to just a quick quiz regarding the Caro. Right, so with that we end our session for today, and tomorrow in the beginning of the class, so tomorrow and day after also, for inter audit knockout series, we have 7:30 to 9:30, same timing. So in the beginning of the class itself, if you, or you are on the Telegram channel or any through mail also, you can let me know any particular topic or anything that you would like to get incorporated in this particular discussion of ours. Right, so I wish, and I wish you all the very best and lots of success and lots of what you say right now, perseverance right now, for you to prepare for your exams. Right, so see you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening, and bye.